Go.
How is American baseball changing foreign countries? Baseball, like most sports in America, has become an international sport. According to an article done by NPR News, a quarter of the 800 baseball players in the MLB were born outside the United States. They have obviously made an impact on American baseball, but how is Major League Baseball changing their countries? I have spent hours researching and reading articles done by credible publishers and learning about the lives of athletes from different countries because of the interest I have in this topic. This morning, I will share with you about the lives of 3 different MLB players from 3 different countries and how their lives and countries were affected by American baseball. In the Dominican Republic, baseball is a huge part of the economy. 4 out of 10 Dominicans live in poverty, and baseball is seen as a ticket out. The Dominican Republic has the most foreign players in the MLB, consisting of 83 players on opening day rosters last year. Some of whom you may know, Albert Pujols is a famous elite first baseman from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. His father was a popular pitcher in the Dominican, and his family moved to Missouri when he was 16, where he struggled fitting in and learning English. He signed with the St. Louis Cardinals at age 20. American baseball has had a major effect on the Dominican Republic. Carrie Meyer, an economics professor at George Mason University, did an academic study, and she found that manufacturing, commerce, and agriculture still made up most of the nation's economy, but that baseball was having a clear impact. Each of the 30 MLB teams has a training academy in the Dominican Republic, each spending $125 million a year, with an additional $200 million in signing bonuses to young Dominican players, with an additional, and then whatever comes back to the country from the estimated $400 million given to Dominican major leaguers, says Rob Ruck, a history professor at the University of Pittsburgh. In Cuba, American baseball has caused political strife. It is a complicated and difficult process to leave Cuba and come play baseball. Professional sports were done away with 2 years after the Cuban Revolution, and America gives Cubans the opportunity that Cuba can. However, restrictions were enforced by the U.S. after Cuba aligned itself with the Soviet Union. The late Jose Fernandez, a standout pitcher from Santa Clara, Cuba, experienced this firsthand. He attempted to come to America 3 times, but the U.S. Coast Guard sent him back, where he spent a year in prison charged with being a traitor to Fidel Castro. On his final attempt, him and his family went west to Mexico and crossed the Mexican border through Texas instead of going north to Miami. He was defected from the communist state when he was 15 years old and was drafted by the Marlins only 3 years later. Since Fernandez, the rules have changed. Cuba will let athletes sign with foreign leagues, but the players have to be unblocked by a license from the Office of Foreign Assets Control in order to play for the MLB. This requires that players have proven permanent residency outside of Cuba. Simplifying the registration rules is creating more opportunities for young Cuban talent to come play American baseball. However, this creates a new issue as Cuba becomes a feeder to the U.S. instead of their own national baseball team thriving. In Venezuela, American baseball has abandoned the country. Venezuela used to also have a strong player development industry like the Dominican. Venezuela has the second most foreign players in the MLB, consisting of 65 players on opening day rosters last year. Political unrest and growing crime rates have sent MLB teams away, isolating Venezuela, creating a new issue for them. Lots of talent has come from Venezuela, such as Miguel Cabrera, a legendary hitter and the first Venezuelan to win the Triple Crown, born in Marcy. He grew up in the baseball world, with baseball being a huge influence on young men like it is in most Hispanic countries. His dad, having his own experience after his baseball career went unfulfilled, encouraged his son to become an engineer, but he was set on baseball. He soon became popular among recruiters and by age 16 had signed with the Miami Marlins. Cabrera's story is a good example of a successful Latin American baseball career, but there are other stories that don't end up quite as successful. Not only in Venezuela, but in most Hispanic countries, baseball is a huge part of the culture, and generations after generations play the sport. Baseball encourages thousands of young boys to quit school and chase baseball, and they often do by age 13 or 14 to start training. They have promise from recruiters of developing their baseball talent, and they will do anything they are told. They may be encouraged to use performance-enhancing drugs, lie about their age or identity, only to become casualties, as only 2% of them will make a living in baseball. However, the conditions of these training academies have improved in recent years, and there has been additions of education programs to these facilities. These are just 3 of many countries being affected by American baseball, but there are many more countries and players being affected that people are unaware of. International international players have changed baseball in America, but American baseball has also achieved